This is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Frontline history. Basically, this is the review of everything that had happened across March of 2025 in the Ukraine war or the special military operation in Ukraine. And as you can see on the other side, over here, ta-da, no, you can see the summary of all the total area captured, the square kilometers of all the different front lines. You can see the numbers are pretty huge. The biggest of all is Kursk. This one. Kursk front. Kursk front, 440 square kilometers retaken. And just looking at the numbers, you can see that the Russians has indeed taken back a lot. Not taken back, taken a lot of territory, and of course, taken back a lot of it, their own territory over in the Russian territory. So, we will go through the front line one by one. We see the difference, the difference between the two months, the 1 month, for the 1st of March until the current latest, which is we just basically 1st of April or 31st of March. So we see the difference in the different front line. Towards the end of the video, we'll do the calculation to see what is the total square kilometers captured by both sides. So Ukrainians also have taken grounds back and taken some grounds into Russia, but the numbers is pretty limited. We just go through a bit on the biggest. The biggest area captured by the Russian forces is the Kursk front, because they have, through the gas pipeline attack, managed to take back most of Kursk. The second biggest, by the look of it, is Pokrov, 57. So Pokrov is over here. This is Pokrov front. So this is Pokrov. So this is the Pokrov front. And they have taken 57.22 square kilometers, mainly over in the southern flank. These have contributed most of it, 57.22 square kilometers. The next this is 44. Yeah, the next biggest is Andriivka front. So Andriivka front is this one. All of this area, particularly in the most recent, the last week of developments, the Russians have captured quite a bit of grounds, up to 44.75 square kilometers. Others are also pretty big. We have Zaporizhia front at 38.58. Sumy is already 36. So we can go a little bit. Zaporizhia mainly is this part. You can see the front line changes over here. This itself, Zaporizhia is at, where is it? 38.58. Sumy front. Sumy is actually the incursion into the Sumy region from the Kursk front. Is basically talking about this chunk here. These two chunks here to combine is already 36 square kilometers. So the Russians are taking a lot of grounds. The Ukrainians, the biggest is Belgorod at 12 square kilometers, mainly in this chunk here. This one. This area here is 12 square kilometers. The rest is negligible. At Boreshna front, 3.71 square kilometers. Mainly is claims. At the Boreshna front, they have claimed to taken this area back around Zapadne, and and of course this area here, they were geolocated south of Zapadne. So yeah, so for the Ukrainians, that's all. But the Russians have a lot more, and everyone of the front line is their own story, is their very, very own story. So I'm going to turn off the black box so we don't block the view so much. And so we're going to go on from the south. There's nothing over the Kherson front. There's no frontline changes in this sector. Actually, there is. Is there? No, there isn't. So, and then we go to the Zaporizhia front. So the Zaporizhia offensive, the Russians is conducting some Zaporizhia offensive. And from the area capture, you can see it's already 38.58 square kilometers. This is definitely an offensive. The Russian forces are pushing at Novodanilivka. There is some frontline change around here. And then they're attacking at this Kayamsky region. Lobkove, Stepove, Mali Shebaki, and Shebaki. These are the areas that the Russians have taken versus the previous line, which was here. So this is the differences. And if you can't see it, I can actually flash it. I can actually make it flash. Can you see? Yeah. Maybe I should turn off this capture so you can see better. You can see the flashing. This is the area that the Russians have captured. So these chunks are pretty big, and so they lays a good foundation for the Russians to push on further up north towards the main line of defense around the Palivka line. So around here. So that's the area captured over the past month by the Russian forces at the Zaporizhia front. Then we go to the Velika Novosilka front. So this is Velika Novosilka. As you can probably already see some of the frontline changes around here. If I flash, you can actually see where the area the Russians have actually captured. It's mainly in this sector. So we zoom in a bit, you can see that the Russian forces basically have, in the process of the past 1 month, captured Dnipro, Enicheya, Skutny. They have secured Belatsky. And they have captured Privyone, generally speaking. So these are the main frontline changes. And of course, the push towards Vasily in the west of Skutny was also noted. The push towards Dnipro here. So these are all the frontline changes, and this contributed to 22.67 square kilometers in total. So that's all from this sector. And anyway, happy birthday to those that are having birthday today. And of course, do let me know what you think of the frontline history. Put it in the comments below. You can let me know your feedbacks. I try to do my best, but it's definitely not easy to know, because this is a specially prepared map just to discuss the frontline history. If not, the typical mapping that we use cannot be used to just look between the two sides. It will be very complicated. The map is very complicated when you overlay it. So this is all clean up to make sure that we can actually talk about the frontline history over the past month. So, and over at the Andriivka front, this is one of the breakthrough fronts, I would say, pretty significantly. I mean, Zaporizhia front also quite big, Velika Novosilka is not that big. It's still largely where the front line was. There is frontline change, but no, it's not as big as Andriivka front. So you can see from these darker areas, you can still remember the Russian forces. The Ukrainians have all this complicated mapping at Andriivka, resulting in the salient, basically an encirclement developing around Andriivka. If you remember, you can see how it sounds like, it's so long ago, right? So, and of course, the recent, the past few days development of the Russians' capture of Rozliv. So all these combined, and over the time, the Russian forces basically have secured most of Andriivka, despite the Ukrainians refuse to acknowledge that. They still claim that fighting is at Andriivka. Constantinople, the Ukrainians did manage to capture some grounds back. The Ukrainians also managed to capture some grounds back in the northwest of Andriivka, but largely the Russians are the one that has done a lot of this progress in this sector. And in the Rozliv region, this area here, this is the most recent. The Russian forces basically taking all of the grounds around Rozliv from in the east and the south of the town. So Andriivka is one of the major ones, 44.75 square kilometers taken by the Russian forces across this entire line. So if I flash, you can actually see this entire area is taken by the Russian forces. So we go into the Pokrov front. So this is the Pokrov. This is Pokrov, and this is the Pokrov front. And most of this frontline change is actually over in the southern flank. The southern flank is where at the Pokrov front, the main front, the main offensive region. And if I flash, so if I flash the whole thing, you'll realize there is some in the north. So you can see there's some in the north, but largely is in the south. So I flash again. You can see a little bit over here, just small bits. So over in this southern flank, the Russian forces make some massive developments in this sector. The Russians have pushed really hard towards the south of Kotlярivka. They have claimed to have taken Preobrazhenka. They have entered into Bodanivka, fanned down the south of Strypne and Yasinove. So these are all the main frontline changes in this area here. So which makes all these differences around here, contributing to most of the frontline changes of the 57.22 square kilometers taken by the Russian forces. Massive changes around here. So no, for the pro-Ukrainians, if you think there's no collapse, like no, yeah, I mean sure, but the Russians are really progressing. Like you cannot deny these numbers. These are real numbers. So of course these numbers are it's an estimate. I mean I'm talking about like the numbers exist. No, this is a huge amount of grounds swapped to the Russians' control. So no, you it's best not to cope too much. So there is some small changes like in Uspenivka, where the Russians taken some ground. Ukrainian claims to have taken back grounds at Kotline, capturing most of it, and especially this area here in the northwest of Kotline is confirmed through geolocation. Everything else is still a claim. The Ukrainians also managed to have some success over in Shevchenko. They managed to penetrate into Shevchenko itself and capture the eastern outskirts. So this is what that contributes to the Pokrov 6.84 square kilometers. The Ukrainians have the best performance this other than the Belgorod incursion. This is at Pokrov, because this is where the Ukrainians launched the most heaviest counterattack other than those related to the Kursk front. However, the incursion at Pischane, the Russians managed to take some grounds back over in the past month and expanding a bit of control south of Vivrove. So there is some mixed results. Mainly the implication is the Ukrainians have the control of Pokrov, and with this they are able to contribute to a lot of forces. They have very strong logistic in this area to allow them to sustain the attack and hold the grounds. So mainly that's the main reason for this. Otherwise, in the northern flank we have some frontline change as well. You can see this entire area disappeared. The Ukrainian claims got invalidated as the Russian forces went into Tarasevka, as well as capturing Verdiane Druhi. So the Russian forces taking all these grounds areas and invalidating Ukrainian claims, which is why the mapping disappeared, because there is only one layer of the Ukrainian mapping. So if not I put two layers, it might be impossible to read the map. So you can see this is the frontline change around here. And also it's important to show you the amount of work that I've done. So you can see all the frontline changes is actually it's already drawn out. You can see these are the frontline change. You can see all these polygons. Yeah, so this is how I managed to do the calculation for the total area captured. These numbers here. Yeah, so this is true. This is how I calculate it. Because I as much as I'm very lazy, I realize I have no choice. This is just way too much and way too complicated. So I have to redraw every single area captured. I have to replot the whole thing, so that I have a sense, like the easier way to calculate and easier way to explain to you guys. And then I can do this flashing thing, right? I can do this flashing thing that you can see better. So now we go into the thorax front. So this is the thorax front. This is thorax city. This is New York City, and generally we cut it into two. So you can see some frontline change in this sector. So in the New York sector, the area, this is pretty much easier to tell. The Russian forces have taken some grounds in this rather new and fresh offensive, where they have captured Petelemonovka. They have taken everything east of Oleksandropil and south of Oleksandropil and securing the northwest of Novobahmutivka. So this offensive is ongoing, and the Russians are doing some progress in this area, as you can tell. In the thorax region, this area here is a bit more complicated. You can see the Russians have these three spikes. in this area here. They have pushed towards Katerinivka, north of Krimsky and north of Druzhba. So this is the main Russian push. The Ukrainians managed to take back a little bit of ground at Krimsky. They have managed to confirm their presence in the center of Torex, as well as this incursion into Zapalka region. So this contribute to these areas here. It's still pretty contested, this front line around here in the Torex sector. The total area captured, you can see that the Ukrainians get 1.7 square kilometers back, while the Russians push 14.06. 14.06, the big chunk of that is actually the New York sector, the ones in the south over here, which contribute to most of this area captured by the Russian forces. So we move into the Bakhmut front. So this is the Bakhmut front. This is Bakhmut city. There isn't a lot in this front line change. So one chunk, most of it, so the Russians captured like 4.05 square kilometers. A big chunk of it is basically just this piece. Just this piece here. This piece alone is 63.65 square kilometers. So this piece is the main chunk that the Russians managed to take in the south and southwest of Ozyarenivka. So this is the main one. The rest, there's actually nothing much. Only a little bit over at the Battle of Chasiv here. So only a little bit here, where the Russian forces managed to take this piece around here. Just this one, little bit, where the Russian forces managed to take this area here. Otherwise, there's not much of the Pokrov, the Chasivya region where the Russians have taken grounds. So that's all from the Bakhmut front. So Bakhmut front, you can see 4.05 square kilometers. So over the Sivers front, surprisingly, the Russians actually captured more ground than in Bakhmut. It's 7.09 square kilometers by the Russian forces, mainly due to the offensive in the north of Verkhovno-Kanyamsky, and as well as at Bilohorivka, where the Russian forces managed to take grounds in the securing Bilohorivka, as well as taking grounds in the northern flank of Verkhovno-Kanyamsky. So these contribute to 7.09 square kilometers. It's a little bit underreported, I would say, and also it might seem underwhelming, but Sivers front is one of the toughest front line for the Russians. The Ukrainians defend super well here. The geography is horrible for offensives. So that's what it is. And we go to the next front line at the Liman front. Liman front is one of the breakout front lines for the Russians. If you can see, Liman front is 45.29 square kilometers. The only one that the Russians have captured more grounds is Pokrov. Liman is actually the second biggest, most successful front line over the past month. And the main reason is for the big areas captured around here. In the Nevsky, Novolubivka, stretching to Novy, Katerinivka, Zelena Dolina region. This chunk here contributes to most of the captures. This piece alone is 43.8 square kilometers. So this is already a very, very big area captured. There is also smaller pieces like here at north of Bilohorivka, east of Yampolivka. There is some pieces here and there, but the main piece is this one. This big piece where the Russian forces make this a massive push. So let me turn off this. Turn off this again. Yeah, this massive push towards Novy and Katerinivka, where the Russian forces also captured Novolubivka in the process and securing Nevsky or Balka Zuravka. So this chunk here is the main reason why this front line has become the standout front line for the Russians over the past 1 month. Of course, nothing can compare to Kursk. Kursk is the ultimate breakthrough front line for the Russians. But of course, that will be the last because we are going anti-clockwise direction in terms of the Ukraine war. So that's all from this Liman front. And we go to the north is over to the Borova front. So at the Borova front, the area captured is 15.09 square kilometers. And a big contribution to this is the Nadia one. So let me turn off this again. So the region around Nadia and the region around Zarizove. This front line, the Ukrainians also managed to capture some ground over at around 3.71 square kilometers is also around Zarizove region. So at Nadia, the Russian forces managed to secure all of this area around Nadia, in the north of Nadia, and they have also secured a strong buffer in this sector. So straightening the front line over here. So this is a very major change for the Russians. At Zarizove, there was this correction of the front line, and the Ukrainians were launching counterattacks, managed to capture some grounds around Zarizove and in the east of Zarizove. So this was the Ukrainian captures, and the Russian forces managed to secure these three lines around here, as well as capturing the forest around Zarizove. So this exchange of grounds is what led to some of these areas that is traded between the two sides, and the Ukrainians managed to get 1.2 square kilometers. Just now I said the wrong one. I was looking at the Voreshna one, but it's actually Borova is 1.2 square kilometers. So which is what is this? So that's all for this area. So and then over the Kupiansk front, there is one frontline change. This is also very recent. This piece here, this area here is taken by the Russian forces just a few days ago, where the Russian forces managed to push out in the Timkovka region and bring the battle to Zagoryukivka, which is around here. So this frontline change is what on its own. It's just on its very own. So this area here, this piece here, is 6.49 square kilometers. So I can show you 6.49 square kilometers. So this is a very surprise capture by the Russian forces, as the Kupiansk front tends to be very quiet. So this was a sign that the Russians may be doing something in this sector, something to take note of, something new, I would say. And we go into the Voreshna front. So this is Voreshna, and the entire line here along the Oski River is the Voreshna front, stretching all the way to the Kupiansk city. And this area here is also one of the so-called breakthrough areas here, where the Russian forces have this major bridgeheads. There's quite a number of bridgeheads. You can see the Russian forces taking grounds across the Oski River in multiple places. So the Voreshna front contribute to 34.53 square kilometers captured by the Russian forces. The Ukrainians managed to take back some at 3.71, mainly around Zapadne, where they did some counterattack around the south of Zapadne, around Zapadne. These are claims though, not confirmed yet, as well as the attack near to, I think it's in the north of Voreshna or something. So around there, the Russian forces managed to take back some grounds, a little bit around there. And the main one is the one at the south, where the Russian forces managed to take the grounds towards Kindrashivka. This chunk is pretty big, so I need to flash in order for you to see much more clearer. You can see the areas that the Ukrainians capture and where the Russians have captured. So this is where the Russians have taken grounds. So these are Russian ones. You can see the Ukrainians. This chunk. Not that one, and this chunk here. So not this chunk. This chunk don't have. So these are the areas in the southern flank of the Voreshna front, where the Russian forces and the Ukrainian forces have created grounds. But however, in the north, this is all Russian. The Russians just have this massive bridgehead. This massive bridgehead that the Russians have taken. This chunk alone is 16.2 square kilometers. It's just huge. So contribute to yet another very significant front line. I can't call everything breakthrough front lines, but but they all of them are their own stories. Each front line have their own unique circumstances, and like just like story. The word is just story. Each have their own story. So which is pretty painful for me, because I got so much stories to tell you guys. So much analysis I can do for each front line, but I just can't do everything. There are just the frontline changes report, and sit rep is already taken like most of the time. So anyway, yeah. So we move on. There's nothing at the Kharkiv front. You can see there's actually no Kharkiv front in the report in the list of frontline changes. So now no frontline change at Kharkiv. And then so Kharkiv and Kherson front is the two disappointing front. Nothing happens over there. And we go to the Kursk front. At the Kursk front is 3 different regions. One is in Kursk, one is in Belgorod, one is in Sumy. So we go into the Belgorod one first. So the mapping here looks a bit funny, but the area capture is actually only this piece. This is the one. So this is the piece around Popovka and Demidovka. This is the one that the Ukrainians have captured. The reason why there is this weird color is because the mapping in the beginning of the month wasn't this elaborate, because this was not an active front line. It was just we just draw a very a simple line. But then when the Ukrainian launched an attack around here, then I have to redraw the borders, the front line according to the border. So there's a lot more details since. But this piece itself is 12 square kilometers. So the Ukrainians have captured 12 square kilometers of Belgorod. So that's the main success for the Ukrainians over the past month. So despite they lost actually 440 square kilometers over here. So this piece here, yeah, let me show you. Oops. So this big massive piece here is 440 square kilometers. 440 square kilometers. So the Ukrainians did this incursion, get 12, so that they can totally forget about the 440 that they have lost. So in 1 month, the entire Kursk front has gone. This entire Kursk front disappeared in a month. In 1 month, this entire thing disappeared. So it's shocking and unbelievable. Like it just shows how successful the gas pipeline attack is. It's ridiculous how big the frontline change was. And over at the Sumy region, the Sumy region mainly is this area here. The Russian forces managed to not just retake the Kursk region, but they also starting to attack into the Sumy region, managed to capture grounds into the Ukrainian territory, and including at Zuravka. So the latest question mark now is whether the Russians would continue in these regions and to continue to bring the Kursk front into a Sumy front. And by the look of it, they might. So the Sumy region, the Russians managed to capture 36.01 square kilometers. This is bigger than the Ukrainians' incursion into Belgorod. So this is of course what the pro-Ukrainian sites or pro-Ukrainian YouTube channels or whatnot, they will never tell you that they actually lost this much. So if this piece alone is 33.7 square kilometers up to Basivka, so the Russians' incursion into Sumy is actually pretty big, and it's nothing to scoff about. The Kursk front itself, there's nothing much to really talk about. Like the entire chunk is just taken back by the Russian forces, leaving just a little bit of Kursk left to fight for the Russians to retake, and they are actively attacking and trying to retake these grounds. So, and so that's about it for the individual front lines. Hopefully, I didn't screw it up and cover any of it with the black box. So let's do some mathematics. I think this is definitely the more interesting mathematics compared to Frontline changes report, because there's so many stuff, right? So let's calculate for the Ukrainian one first, because it's the shorter list. 0.63 plus 6.84 plus 1.7 plus 1.2 plus 3.71 plus 12. And the total area captured by the Ukrainians is 26.08. 26.08 square kilometers. So that's the Ukrainian ones. It's not too bad. If it's for 3 days or 1 week, it's not too bad. But it's for 1 month, so it's still better than nothing. Like, no, you have to put things into perspective. It's still better than nothing. It does shows that the Ukrainians are trying their best to counterattack. It shows. The area captured shows that Ukrainians are trying, because I think the previous month they didn't get much at all. So if I not remember wrongly, so let's look at the Russian ones. The Russian one is going to be a long calculation. 38.58 plus 22.67 plus 44.75 plus 57.22 plus 14.06 plus 4.05 plus 7.09 plus 45.29 plus 15.09 plus 6.49 plus 24.53 plus 440.09 plus 36.01. The total area captured by the Russian forces is 755.92 square kilometers. I'm not sure what the pro-Ukrainians wrote. I remember Deep State UA says that the area captured by the Russians is dropping month by month. I'm not sure. 755 almost 756 square kilometers doesn't look small to me. It looks huge. It's huge. It's just huge. So 1 month, just 1 month. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and also know about this Frontline of this Frontline history series. This series is not going to be the problem is I just don't have enough energy and time. If not, I would have loved to do more, like focus on the individual front lines week by week or something, but yeah, it's just going to be quite tough. So, but I at least try to do more month by month. And as you can see, compared to the previous Frontline histories, you can see that every Frontline history we are trying to improve the format, and hopefully it makes it easier to understand and then appreciate the development of the war. Because when we look at the war day by day, it's hard to see, right? It's hard to see what is changed. But when you see across 1 month, you can really see the tide of war. It's huge. The Russians are winning the war, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's just no way to sugarcoat it, except that they say that, we kill a lot of Russians. That's what they say. So they say that all these grounds taken, but do you know how much men they lost to take these grounds? Yeah, who cares, man? I don't know. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. So as usual, press a like and subscribe. We are going for 100,000. So do subscribe, and if you're not subscribed, do subscribe to help to support our goal to reach the 100,000 subs. It's important because the YouTube algorithm now is totally broken. The YouTube subscriber count matters a lot. So so do help, and and also if you want to support my work, you can consider becoming a patron on Patreon or on Boosty Coffee or on Locals. You can check the link below, and also check out this exclusive, but you need to be a paying member to be able to see it. A YouTube membership, you can also find the same video over on Patreon. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next update.